Well, hello. Internet problems here, everybody, and thanks for understanding. I'm hitting you just a few minutes late. Uh, I'm really sorry about that. Matter of fact, I am broadcasting right now, and I don't know how it's coming through. I've got it on a hotspot on my mobile. So I have no internet here at the house now for some reason. Thank you, Cox Cable, for nothing. Anyway, trying to get through today on just on my phone. So if we're coming through, thank you, T-Mobile and T-Mobile 5G here in Las Vegas. So does it, Shelly? Oh my gosh, Shelly says it looks good. I have a T-Mobile account, and T-Mobile has 5G here in Vegas. So well, thanks. I appreciate that, Ted. I don't know if it's going to hang in there or not, but because you never really know when you're on your mobile. But it's all good. Elisa, hey, great to see you here. Thanks very much, and sorry to be late. Hey, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. It's always so great hearing from you, Brian. I appreciate how you share and how you support, and that goes for everybody. Thank you very much for that. Hey, what a great week we've had. Here it is, Wednesday, Hump Day. But what an awesome week we've had. Joe Bonsall of the Oak Ridge Boys, the guest on Monday's show. By the way, these stay up on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I don't think they stay up on Twitter or Instagram, but they do stay up on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you didn't get a chance to see Joe Bonsall of the Oak Ridge Boys on Monday's show, that is still up. That is still available. Also, Tuesday, yesterday, we had what a great experience talking with Phil Jones. Phil, all the way from the United Kingdom, just 20 miles away from London, when he was guesting with us yesterday. What an amazing world we live in! Isn't it crazy? Phil can sit in his home office in the United Kingdom, and here I sit in Vegas, and we talk to each other and get together on a show. Absolutely incredible. So if you didn't get a chance to see Phil and him talking about exactly what to say, great episode, and want to thank both Phil Jones and Joe Bonsall for getting in there and joining me on the show. Got some more really good guests that are going to be coming up. We'll have some more announcements about that, but hope we're hanging in there. It's crazy to be doing this where I'm on my computer, but what I'm using for Wi-Fi is my mobile hotspot. So how wild is that? Hey, Denise, glad you're with us today, too. Thank you for being here. So one of the things I want to talk about today, and as Joe talked about on Monday, and as Phil talked about, even though they're from wildly varied backgrounds, right? I mean, here's Phil, an author and a sales coach and speaker. Here's Joe, a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame and platinum recording artist and more. But we were all talking about the importance of how we get through what's going on right now. And so I want to talk about that for just a little bit today. I'll keep today's show kind of short because of the weird way that we're doing this. But one of the things I think is really important for us is to make certain that we do something each day of significance. Now, it might be as simple as we start to read a new book. It might be that we start a program of personal development or personal achievement. It might be that we make some plans for the future. It might be something that you say no to, something that you cancel. Shelly and I work together, and there is a program that we were going to institute in our business, and Shelly did so much work on it and working to get this, where we wanted it to be for our business. And the more we worked on it, the more we realized it wasn't going to work. And so Shelly mostly fought with the folks to get that eliminated, and finally got it out of our lives today. And I think we feel good, not because of what we said yes to, but because eliminating that creates more opportunity for us to do something else in the future. So maybe what you're going to do today, and this would be a cool thing to think about, what could you eliminate today? What could you mark off today? Now, I've talked about this on one of the first shows that we did. We haven't talked about it lately, but one of the things that I did was to pull out my American Express bill and go through and see how many little subscriptions that I had for $4.99 a month or $9.99 a month that seemed like a good time when I bought it, seemed like a good thing to do. And it seemed like, and I eliminated about $50 a month just in those little subscriptions. Then I went through and we cut back some things in our business, not things that we weren't using. I'll give you an example. One is a service for photos, because when I give a speech, if I'm speaking to dentists, I want to get some proprietary photos of dentists that I can use in my slides to help customize that. Well, with the meetings business shut down and speaking shut down, I didn't need that. So boom, there was $79 a month. And we found another $400 there. Well, you add that together, that's a heck of a lot of money. Now that's both, I understand it's both business expenses and personal expenses. But one of the things that might be a really good process for you to go through is to just take part of today and say, what am I going to say no to? What am I going to cut out? I talk about the message of clarity. Matter of fact, in the book, Create Distinction, look, that book right there. In the book, Create Distinction, I talk about the 4 cornerstones of distinction. And the first cornerstone of distinction is clarity. You've got to be crystal clear about what your advantages are, about what you want to do. Clarity is absolutely key. But the reason most folks have trouble with clarity is not what you might think. It's not saying what you are, it's being willing to say what you are not. The problem that most companies and businesses and people have is that they refuse to say what they are not, what they won't stand for. They'll say what they'll put up with. This is what we will do, but very few are willing to say what they won't do. And so what I want you to think about is today, what do you need to eliminate? What do you need to cut out? I'll bet you can find something. I don't mean to pick on any one particular industry or business, but I'll bet you there's something that you're subscribing to on television that you're not watching. Whether it's you only watch one show on HBO or you signed up for Showtime and you don't, I'll bet you there's something on your television package that you're not using that you could eliminate. Now, that would be a great thing today, is to just say, okay, I'm going to cut this out. That's one of the things. So what I'm suggesting to you here is that as we look at what we're doing in terms of business, what we're doing in terms of our personal lives, what we're doing in terms of everything that we do, it's not just what we say we are, but what we say they aren't that matters. So a good thing to do is determine what you're going to say no to. One of the things I've realized through this pandemic, one of the things I'm realizing as we go through this is I say yes to too many things. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't constantly say no, or else you eliminate the opportunities in your life. But I'm too willing to do too many things, and I need to say no to more things and to focus on the few things that really matter. Lynn, is that striking a chord? I'm guilty of it. I need to work on it. And I think most of us do. Hey, Brian, it's a great question. What's the difference between distinction and differentiation? Great question. Here's how I define it. Differentiation just means there's something different about what you do. But the problem that I've seen with a lot of individuals and a lot of businesses is what they define as different may not be perceived by the customer as different. Case in point, many years ago, I got on this plane, and the woman sat next to me, struck up a conversation. We're talking, and she is in the intellectual property licensing business. And that's what my late wife used to do. So I'm really familiar with that business because it's what my late wife did. And so she gives me her card, and I go on their website. And on their website, on the front page, it said, here's what makes us different. And they listed 4 things. And every one of those 4 things, my late wife's company was doing 10 years ago. So it didn't make them different. They perceived that it did, but it didn't. If I slap every customer in the face, I am different. I have differentiated my business. But it doesn't mean it means anything to customers. It doesn't mean they're going to come back and do business with me. So distinction to me means that not only is there differentiation, there's something unique about you, but it has meaning and traction for your customers, or it has meaning and traction in the marketplace. The other way that I describe distinction is, for example, in any community, there's lots of dentists. And some dentists may differentiate because they special in pediatric dentistry and dentistry for kids. Okay, so that creates a differentiation. But if you went out in the community and asked who is the best, when you think of pediatric dentistry, who do you think of? And one name keeps coming up over and over, that's distinction. If you go to Indianapolis and you say, man, I want a steak, where should I go get a steak? This is like restaurants are open and everything. Everyone would tell you that if you want to have a steak in downtown Indianapolis, you got to go to St. Elmo's. That's just where you go because they are so distinct. Matter of fact, now the difference between distinction and iconic, I'm really getting into this, Brian. Thanks for asking the question. When people say, okay, so, and there's that book, Iconic, which is the latest book. Okay, so what's the difference between distinction and iconic? Distinction means that you're the distinctive one in your category. You are the best pediatric dentist. You are the best steakhouse. You're the one that everybody thinks of in that category. Iconic means you've even taken it so high that you transcend the category. So in other words, you wish that every office in every business work the way that your dentist does. You wish that you could run your company, regardless of what your company does, the way that St. Elmo's runs their restaurant. When you get to the point that you are an example that's used beyond your industry, but people, I've talked on here before about how would your company be managed if Steve Jobs came back and ran your company? Well, which would be amazing, but you know what I'm saying? If Amazon bought your company, how would they run it? And it gets you thinking about that. Okay, when you're to the point that people are saying, man, not only are they the best in category, but they're the best out there, period. That's when you've reached iconic. So it's differentiation, distinction, and iconic. Those would be the levels. Yeah, Lynn, I get it. It's something we all need to work on. Hey, Guy, good to see you. I had the bank cut a recurring payment. Didn't even know what it done. Guy, I get it. We're going to the bank because we found it when we first signed up at the bank when we moved here in Vegas. They gave us a credit card machine because I was doing a program and we were going to run credit cards for people that bought books in the back of the room. And so we stopped doing that, and we're, haven't used that machine forever. And we're looking, and they've charged us $6.99 a month. And it's so small, you don't notice it. But then take $7 a month times, 2 years, times how many thousands of people are doing, Guy, what you and I are doing. It's just crazy. We've got to take a look at that. Thank you for saying that, Guy. Hey, Scott, it's always good to see you. And if you're not following Scott on Facebook, what an incredible story that Scott has to tell as well. So that's I appreciate you watching, Scott. And I always get something when I watch your messages as well. I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you. Hey, Tim, if we save a little, we'll save a lot. There you go. Yeah. It's true regardless, isn't it? I mean, it's the cumulative. I mean, there's why I've been on the phone arguing. This is how my day is going. So I spent 45 minutes this morning arguing with Sprint over an account I canceled a month ago, and then they sent me another bill. And when I hung up the phone with them before, they said, okay, we're done. This is your last bill. Because I also had a T-Mobile account. That's what we're on right now, is my T-Mobile hotspot. And there wasn't I didn't need both. The reason I preferred T-Mobile is because when I travel to Australia and speak, your calls are cheaper there than they are on Verizon or anybody else. And I spent a half an hour arguing with them on a bill I didn't expect. What is this, right? And we need to watch this. We need to watch it. Now, I don't think, and Tim, you're not suggesting this. I'm not saying I think you're suggesting this. I don't think that we can be so obsessed about penny pinching that we miss out on some of the, stepping over a dollar to get to a nickel kind of thing. I don't want to be that obsessed over every cent that I miss out on opportunities. But there's no reason to be paying that $7 a month for a credit card machine I'm not using. There's no reason to be, spending those other things. And that's where what you're saying, I think, is absolutely right. And Jim, you're exactly right, man. The shrimp cocktail, Jim, I got to tell you, last year, a year ago, we had the National Speakers Association, the Nevada chapter, had their Christmas party in our house here in Vegas. And so we had to do the food and the drink and everything. And so this is so evil. We ordered shrimp cocktail sauce from St. Elmo's, and we put a bowl of shrimp out, and we put the shrimp cocktail sauce out, and we put St. Elmo's cocktail sauce by it. And I wish I would pay big money if I could have just had a camera there. Because obviously those of us who are speakers are a little loud, a little outgoing, and to see these folks take a big dip of that cocktail sauce and keep talking and put that shrimp in their mouth, and then all of a sudden that hit them, and you'd see them start crying in her eyes. Oh, if you haven't had shrimp cocktail sauce from St. Elmo's, you can order it online. You got to try it. You got to get it. It is absolutely fantastic. Hey, Richard Mellencamp, I was talking about you when Joe Bonsall was our guest on Monday. Happy Wine Wednesday. Well, let's see. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, as they say. I need to. You're ahead of me already, but it's great to see you. Glad you're here, and hope you're sipping something really good today. Hey, Brian, thank you. I appreciate that greatly. Oh, Pam, thanks. Well, St. Elmo's means a lot to us, and Jeff, you're right. Especially in these times, we've got to be looking at that and focusing on that. So that's part of what we have to do. We have to pay attention. Second thing I want to suggest to you is, what could you do during these times to be a little bit creative? That's the second cornerstone of distinction. A little bit creative. And what I learned about creativity is it's not what we think it is. Creativity, if you want to do something unique, creativity is derivative but different. Derivative but different. It doesn't mean you have to think of something wild and throw the baby out with the bathwater and start over. Here's what I'd like for you to do. Just think about if you're going to do something today. For example, if you're in business and you're going to try to sell something today, don't think of how you've typically sold something. Try to think, how would Tom Hanks sell this? Or how would Meryl Streep sell this? Or and I'm not saying you imitate them or impersonate them, but think about, they'd probably tell a story. How could you tell a better story? Think about that from a different perspective. Just be unique. If you are in the car sales business and the showrooms are closed and you got to talk to customers and you got to reach out to customers, how could you do that differently? How could you do that uniquely, creatively? How could you innovate by simply thinking, how would somebody else do this instead of me? Because when you do that, you really get at the source of what innovation is. Innovation isn't necessarily, you've heard me say this before, but Enterprise Rental Car became number one because they had this one creative idea. Rather than make you come get the car from us at the counter like everybody else did, we'll bring the car to you. So Jeff Bezos is set. Have you seen those old pictures? If you haven't, you can Google it. The Amazon's original office, and it's basically Jeff Bezos. I think it's like a door on stacks of concrete blocks is his desk, and it's just crazy to see now the richest man in the world, sitting in this thing. But basically, what they said is, okay, so if Enterprise can bring the car to you, what if we said, okay, you don't have to go to the bookstore, we'll get the book to you. Then realizing if you do that for books, you can do it for everything. And that's why the book, The Everything Store, is about Amazon, because it's about everything. So yeah, Pam, that was kind of evil to trick those guys with the cocktail sauce at St. Elmo's. St. Elmo's is one of the case studies, by the way, in the book Iconic. And I highly, highly recommend that if you haven't had any of the cocktail sauce from St. Elmo's, go online and order it, because it is out of this world. It is so good. So think about how you can be clear and be precise and focus, and think about how you can be creative by just innovating at one particular thing. Yeah, Phil, be a transportation advisor. That's kind of the Taxi Terry story in a sense that I tell, because part of what he did is he decided, I'm going to do rides, right? I'm going to do rides, but I got to do more than rides. It can't be just, because then all I'm doing is competing with Uber. But if I become your transportation advisor, right? If you need a car to get from one place to another, we got those. You need to take a bunch of people. We got vans. You need elite transportation. I got a limo. I will solve your transportation problem. If you become a transportation advisor, now you've changed the game. Now you've taken it a higher level. Eric, man, that is the truth. Oh, look, there's John Mellencamp in your picture. It's you're right. You are so right, Eric. It's St. Elmo's cocktail sauce will set you free, man. It will set you free. They thought they'd seen everything in Vegas until they had that great cocktail sauce from Indianapolis. So creativity, innovation, really important. Clarity means what you're not. So think about what you're not. Think about what you need to eliminate, and then follow that up by thinking, well, how can I take what I'm doing and do it uniquely, differently? And it's going to help us deal with that. See, I think one of the challenges that we're facing in this time is that all the days are running together. Do you feel that way? I know I do. I look up here and I say, oh, it's Wednesday, but have you ever on a holiday and the day after a holiday, like on December 26th or the Friday after Thanksgiving, you kind of go, man, this feels like a Sunday. Have you ever done that? Where days have certain feels, but now it seems like every day feels like every other day, and it doesn't have that. This feels like a Wednesday, the middle of the week. And the days are all running together. So what we have to do is to take charge of those days. Think about how quickly the last 12 years of your life have passed. Relatively quickly, the last 12 years of your life have passed. This coming July the 8th will be the 14th wedding anniversary for Tammy and me. And we look at each other and go, okay, we've been married a while, it feels like we've been married 5 years, 7 years, but 14 years went like that. It's crazy. Okay, then think about how long it felt since you started the first grade until you graduated from high school. And that's even less time, about the same amount of time. So why did time seem so slow then and time goes so fast now? I think part of why it works that way is because when we're in school, we have individual daily assignments. And then we get report cards every 6 weeks. And there is a semester, and then there's a break, and then there's the summer, and then we start a second grade. So then when there's a different, the classes get mixed again, probably. And so each year, and then within each year, each semester, and then within each semester, each 6 weeks, and then within each 6 weeks, each assignment, there's demarcations all along the way. Then we get out here in the real world, so to speak, and we just do what we do. And sometimes we get so busy doing what we do, we don't take time to think about what we're doing. And so the challenge for us is to think about what we are doing and to focus on how we go and take everything from the day that we possibly can. That's the key. Tam, you're right. That's it. You have a schedule to follow when you're in school, and then we get doing this and we don't have that. So Jeff says we're on the back nine of life, but we're hoping for the 19th hole. You bet, Jeff. That's right. But hey, the back nine can be the best nine, right? A lot of times that back nine is the best. Yeah, and Denise, we didn't have control over our lives those first 12 years, and now we have control. But isn't it interesting that the days seem to pass more slowly because there were things in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is this: we don't take the self-control to do those daily assignments, those weekly assignments, those monthly, yearly assignments. We don't take control of our own life to do those as we should now. And we relied on other people to do it for us then. Hey, there's Tim Gillette. Tim's another great guy to watch. He's got a great show. I've had the privilege of being Tim's guest here before. Richard's been their cocktail addict since early 60s. Yeah, that's the cocktail addict at St. Elmo's. That's where we need to meet, Richard, when this is when this is all over, right? That's so true. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much. I'm sorry I got on late today. I'm amazed. This ought to be a commercial for T-Mobile because I'm just on my phone hotspot doing this through my computer. So thank you, T-Mobile and 5G in Vegas for making that happen. Hopefully, we're going to get this all ironed out and be in good shape again tomorrow when I'm back here. Tomorrow, hope to have an announcement where there's a guest that's going to do this, but we're trying to figure out when she can make it happen. So we're going to work on that, and I'll get that to you. I got a bunch more folks that are going to be guests, and I like please tell me. I mean, I like the variety that some days we have guests and some days we don't, because there's a lot of shows out there that have a guest every day, and that's good. But I want to do something different. I like it when we have a chance to dialogue as well. So I like it that there's the mixture. Please let me know if that's what you like. If it's not, we'll do a guest every day. We'll do whatever it takes that you enjoy, that you like. Got to put the plug in, though. Don't forget to go to DistinctionNation.com. DistinctionNation.com is where you can download all those resources that we talk about all the time. So go there. You'll have a chance to download the audio program. It's all free. Just like for you to sign up and be there at DistinctionNation.com. Oh, I hope so, Pam. Hopefully this thing gets... we figure this out, huh? And we make that happen soon. Yeah, when you're 5, it's like driving 5. When you're 60, it's 6. Well, there's something to be said there too, Phil. Yes, as Ron Black would say, there is no time. That's a great one, Kathy. You are so right. And you like the variety, Brian? Okay, good. All right, we'll keep that up. And others, please let me know what you think about that, how you like that. That's going to do it for us today. Again, sorry for getting on late. Thanks to you hanging in there. I really appreciate that. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, for the next edition of Daily Distinction.